Often, the left likes to portray all of its enemies under a broad brush. Conservatives and radical feminists alike are painted as being one and the same due to an overlap in one area. It would be blatantly obvious to anyone who cared to look that the two groups are in utter opposition to one another, even with an overlap on a single issue. This hasn't been helped with the proliferation of the term TERF to refer to anyone who objects to gender ideology. TERF has been used widely to refer to lesbians on account of their homosexuality not being receptive to biological men who identify as women. TERF is meant to refer to trans-exclusionary radical feminists, who is itself a misnomer. Radical feminism encompasses all females regardless of race, class, or disability. This would include trans men and non-binary identified females who are biologically female. However, because it does not include trans women, who the rest of the subscribers to trans ideology insist are women on account of them deciding to be so, it is described as trans-exclusionary. Anyone who is gender critical or simply rejects trans ideology has been branded a TERF, and many who oppose the basic tenets claim to be radical feminists, even when they obviously are not. In reality, radical feminism is male exclusionary in the same way that Black Lives Matter is white exclusionary or Hispanic exclusionary. One can have their own movement to focus on their own issues instead of co-opting a movement to serve other groups. But what exactly is radical feminism, and how does it differ from conservatism? Radical feminists are pro-choice, without any restrictions. A woman's body is hers and hers alone, and as you cannot force someone to donate organs to another person, even after death, you cannot force a woman to be used as an incubator for another person. She can choose to terminate for any reason and cannot be coerced into using her body to incubate a child via surrogacy, in the same way that one cannot be paid to donate an organ. Radical feminists work towards the goal of women's liberation from the patriarchy. We support social programs and endorse class analysis. Class analysis involves seeing yourself as part of a larger group and realizing that you have commonalities in both experience and desired social change as a result of how society is organized. Radical feminism is anti-capitalist and anti-patriarchy. Radical feminism is critical of the nuclear family and pro-comprehensive sex ed. We are anti-war and against traditional gender roles. This includes the beliefs that women are inherently feminine, caring, taking on caretaking roles, are inherently submissive, amongst others. We are pro-gay rights. We are critical of transgender policies based on a critique of gender roles and the safety of women and girls while remaining supportive of gender nonconformity. We oppose porn and prostitution as violence against women. Conservatives are anti-feminist, anti-abortion, and are against social programs. They focus on individual rights and are pro-capitalist, pro-patriarchy, and pro-nuclear family. They are against sex ed, are pro-war, and pro-traditional gender roles. They are against gay rights and are critical of transgender policies that support gender nonconformity and support trans people who fit into a gender box. They oppose porn and prostitution due to religious beliefs. Liberal feminism is feminism only in name. It is anti-woman while prioritizing males. It derails and censors discussions about women's health. They support social programs unless they are only for women. They are anti-capitalist unless about sex work or transitioning. Supposedly anti-patriarchy until women actually speak up about their oppression. They are critical of the nuclear family. They are pro-comprehensive sex ed but will deny the realities of biological sex. They are anti-war. They claim to be anti-gender roles but actually reinforce gender roles in their new definitions of gender. They claim to be pro-gay but shame homosexuals for being homosexual. They accept transgender ideology and fail to see the similarities with sexist gender roles and stereotypes. They are pro-sex work because they are unaware and unwilling to learn about abuse and exploitation of women in the industries. Despite an overlap in disagreeing on transgenderism, conservatives and radical feminists have very different reasons for believing so. Every other aspect of each ideology is inherently in opposition. In contrast, liberal feminism isn't really feminism at all. It suggests reframing oppression through a lens of reclamation. If one accepts that their oppression is a choice, they position it to be empowering through the concept of free will. Of course, this doesn't take into account the influence that society as a whole has on individual choices, nor does it question who benefits from deciding to accept the status quo. In contrast, liberal feminism overlaps with conservatism in several ways. Gender ideology suggests not breaking the boxes of gender stereotypes, but instead switching your identity to conform with the one whose stereotypes you like the most. Liberal feminism condones sending death threats, rapes, and harassment to women that dare believe outside the norm, particularly those who go against trans ideology. They support rape through the support of identity validation over knowledgeable consent. Liberals support conversion therapy and shame homosexuals for admitting that sex is real, that same-sex attraction is real and immutable, on the grounds of validating gender identity. Liberals support prostitution and porn as they see women as products and view personal choice as a valid excuse for the violence and harm that it causes. Conservatives treat women as sex objects and possessions first and foremost, and supports the usage of women for their reproductive ability. There is an overlap in the way that liberals and conservatives hate women, though they excuse their hatred in different ways. Conservatives claim tradition, sex essentialism, and God-given right. Liberals claim it's all a matter of free choice and that because it is freely given, it is above reproach. Radical feminism is the only ideology to center women, and which aims to reduce the harm we face from the patriarchal society we live in instead of supporting and upholding the system or pretending that it doesn't exist. It is important to realize that radical feminism goes beyond merely disapproving of trans politics. The center of radical feminism is recognizing the oppression women face by men and the need for drastic social change to address this. At its core, radical feminism is about loving women and wanting to create a better world for women as a class. Conservatism is about traditionalism and hating anything that challenges the status quo. It is anti-feminist at its core. It is crucial to recognize the differences in these ideologies as they all aim for different goals and serve different demographics. The only one which centers around the needs of women is radical feminism. Any other ideology which claims to do so is lying, and it only takes looking at their goals and actions to realize this. This, dear viewers, is where we part. This is obviously short and not in depth, and I'm sure I'm not going to add in nearly enough sources. Just so many screenshots on Twitter, oh god. But I feel like this is something that once said out loud, it fits into place. It makes sense. Because a big part of the debate here is just misinformation. Half the time when you have someone complain about how horrible TERFs are, they don't even have any proof to back up their claims. I saw a Twitter thread just this morning about with J.K. Rowling and someone trying to argue with her, and they couldn't even find a single tweet where she was supposedly transphobic. And I feel like this conflation of all of our enemies are the same type of enemies, and therefore you don't have to look any deeper into it, because we already know conservatives are bad. So if we say that radical feminists are conservatives, then boom, they're double bad. There's no reason to prove our claims. It's just very important to position that this is different, how we are different, and of course, it kind of breaks down their argument from the bottom up if you can just point out and say that, no, this is not conservatism. No, this is not the same thing. No, you need to actually research what you're saying if you're going to try to argue with us on this. Because, to be honest, I think every radical feminist I know is very well read in everything regarding these topics. And if you asked someone who was a liberal feminist or a conservative to back up their claims with statistics, they would not have them off the top of their head like so many rad fems do. Anyhow, please feel free to leave a comment, subscribe, like, etc. I have a membership thing set up. The highest tier is, I think, $10, and you can read the video scripts if you like reading more. I also have a Discord up and running, which you can DM me personally to get access to at runawaysiren940, #4611. And of course, if you have any comments, questions, concerns, or you have suggestions for videos, even TikToks you want me to react to, I'll take them because I hate looking for them myself. Feel free to leave them somewhere. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye.